I love the fact that our story begins with two women. Moika Newell and Catherine Mayo were friends who lived in Bedford Hills, New York. And in 1913, they were building a new home. And they had a young man who was their foreman, Samuel Howell. And at the end of the week, he was bringing the payroll back for his workers and was ambushed by a group of men. And they shot him several times, stole the money, and left him for dead on the side of the road. And somehow this young man managed to get back on his motorcycle and return to the house, where he was able to give a description of his attackers. And he also had an idea where they might be found. But unfortunately, no meaningful effort was made to find them or bring them to justice. This was not okay with Moika Newell and Catherine Mayo. So they gathered their circle of very influential friends. They knew people in journalism and politics and finance. FDR was in that group, and they formed a committee for state police. They used that group to lobby the legislature for 3 years afterward to create a police force to serve the rural areas of New York. And they worked hard. And after 3 years, they were successful. In April of 1917, legislation was signed into law by Governor Whitman. These women were remarkable. They were ahead of their time. I think their perseverance in light of the kind of pushback that they got at the time says a lot about them. They had vision, they had vision for something much larger than themselves, and they followed through and were ultimately successful. I think that same thing could be true of every woman who steps up to become a New York State Trooper. It certainly was true of the first 4 women that came 56 years later. Was all it took for women to enter the ranks after that.
One of my instructors was a former major in the state police, and he handed me an application one day. He said, "The state police have opened their testing to women." He said, "Take the test." I was 20 when I took the test. And a few months later, I turned 21 in August and got hired in September.
Those 4 women were also quite remarkable. They were tougher than they appeared, and they persevered through the challenges that they encountered here at the Academy.
They had a problem dressing us at first. They didn't know what to do. I remember the major took us to Macy's and got us these outfits that were popular at the time, and they were like bell-bottom pants with a tunic top. And they were gray. The idea of just giving us fatigues like everybody else, he just couldn't fathom that. But eventually, we managed to end up with fatigues.
And then they took action while they were here, in spite of probably a very intimidating environment, I would think, to make sure that they got to wear the same uniform as the men, and that they got to do the same job, the job that they had stepped up and volunteered to do.
They presented us with these uniforms, and we were like shocked. We couldn't believe it. The hat was a meter maid or a stewardess hat. We used to call them the coffee, tea, or me hats. The shirt, it didn't even have real pockets. It had fake flaps on it. The slacks, and we were told they were slacks. They were not trousers. Women don't wear trousers, they wear slacks. Because we asked why there was a zipper at the side. And he goes, the major said that's how women are appropriately dressed. A zipper in the front is a fly, that's a trouser, that's for men. And there was no pockets in the pants. I mean, we couldn't picture where were we gonna put anything. And then we got handed a pocketbook. And we said, and our guns are gonna go in here? And they sort of looked at each other like, and somebody nodded, but it was like you could tell they hadn't really thought it out. And all 4 of us voiced strenuous objections as respectfully as we could. And Carol DeSalle was due to go out on the road that following week, and she said, "I can't wear this uniform. I just can't. And I don't want to be laughed at either." So the major was pulling his hair out, and the captain and the lieutenant were just sort of looking at each other, and he goes, "Well, what the hell do you girls want?" And she says, "I want to go down to the quartermaster, and I want to withdraw a uniform." He goes, "A man's uniform?" She goes, "A trooper's uniform, and I want to wear that." He allowed her to do it. Then the last thing was, he told us in private, away from the captain and the lieutenant, that we were to keep those meter maid hats, that we were not going to get Stetsons, that Stetsons were meant for the men alone. And he told us not to screw with him on this. Well, we were pretty upset over the hats. We knew that the Stetson was the logo for the state police, the insignia, what everybody keyed into. So the four of us had a meeting and we threshed it out over an hour, the pros and cons of, keeping the meter maid hats or throwing caution to the wind and fighting for the Stetson. And we finally decided that we had to fight for the Stetson. That one, we wouldn't be taken seriously if we didn't. And two, we were predetermining that every woman who came after us would be stuck with that hat if we didn't give it a good fight. So we decided to break the chain of command that he was always reminding us about. And the next time that Superintendent Kerwin came over to interview us, he would come every 2 weeks, maybe every 4 weeks, and we explained to him that we really needed those Stetsons. We made a case for it. We explained to him that, for his idea to take hold, we needed to be taken seriously, we needed to have those Stetsons, and we needed to be part of the whole group, not a separate state police, and not trooperettes as we had been told we were. We did get the Stetsons, he okayed it. He told the major on his way out, let those ladies withdraw Stetsons, and he came into our rooms and it was just like somebody sucked all the air out of the room. He gave us a tongue lashing like I'd never had in my life.
And they also had vision. They had vision for what it meant to be a New York State Trooper.
We also got skirts given, issued to us, stockings issued to us, and shoes to go with the skirt. Yeah, we had legs. Remember legs, that brand? They were terrible when you were standing at a funeral in the bitter cold. But it was just one thing that separated us from the men, and we didn't want that separation. And there came a time when we just said, we don't want to wear those skirts anymore. We're all one agency, we should be dressed alike, there shouldn't be a separate uniform for us.
I had a unique experience in the academy. Of the local news followed me and another recruit through our academy class, and blessing and a curse. It sort of made me think, there's a whole lot of other people that are going to know if I don't make it. So that was a little bit of an incentive for me. Watching those videos over time, I saw how much I changed.
I feel a lot stronger mentally, like I can take a lot more. I learned a lot about myself, what I can do.
They also asked me towards the end of the academy, what did I think about being the first female superintendent?
There's really no limit on where we can go from here.
Female super?
That would be interesting, yeah.
And I thought, I had never really thought about that. But at that moment in time, I thought, yeah, that would be great.
Are you in line for that? Are you offering yourself?
Got a little bit more time to put in before I'd be up for that.
Got a few steps in between, here and there, but why not?
When I started, I didn't have any role models. There were no women in uniform on television. I had seen one of those first four at a job fair when I was just a teenager. And she looked so magnificent. Her hair was perfect, and she was wearing her Stetson and, and her uniform, and it made a huge impression on me. So I was able over time to see myself also in that role and want to be a part of this agency, something larger than myself.
A lot of them thought we were long-haired male hippies. They could see the state police hiring male hippies before women. And there would be times you'd be working, whether it was a state fair or whatever, and people would walk up to you and say, what are you, a man or a woman? I'd try to make a joke. I looked down and go, well, I was a woman this morning when I was getting dressed. And the wife would say to the husband, you owe me $20. Told you it was a woman. There was people who welcomed you, other people who sort of held back their opinion until they could see how you're going to work out, and definitely other people who absolutely did not want you there. The first woman who came on as a mother was like in 1977. She was a single mother of 3 children. I don't know how she did it. And when one of the men who was in the Brunswick station heard that there was a mother in the academy, he went ballistic, and he took a full cup of coffee and threw it across the room, slammed it on the wall, and stomped out.
Being a woman, you're an outsider.
You were basically, at the time, the only one. You were always the only one. And people might think that would be a fun thing. Being first or being the only one isn't always that great. I worked with a lot of troopers that women weren't part of the deal when they joined the state police. So I gave them a little bit more grace. I suppose, about getting to know me and understanding what I could do and that I wasn't going anywhere. And where I think troopers that I came on with and those that kind of came on later, as I rose through the ranks, I gave them far less grace about whether I belonged there or not.
And you had people trying to take advantage of you because you were a woman, and you just had to push through that. You just had to ignore some of it and push through the rest.
There were times where you felt isolated. There was a camaraderie at work that often extended outside of work, but that outside extension very rarely included women. I worked with people, again, people that felt paternal towards women, felt they needed to protect us, and my major at the time felt I was much too nice of a young lady to take that role. And I thought, I am nice, but I'm not really that nice, and I would have done just fine. But that actually led me to the next place of looking at the state police and understanding what I could control instead of worrying about what I wasn't going to be. So I moved on and took the sergeant's test and did well on that and became a uniform sergeant. Did I have to work harder because I was a female? I felt that I put more pressure on myself because of that. I was intentional about things that maybe other people didn't have to be.
So you're not looking at it in the right perspective. When you see one of us doing something not quite right, you think it's because we're a woman, not because we're a human being.
The opportunity came up, and I remember when the acting superintendent at the time called me down to his office and he said, "Hey, Patricia, how would you like to be the G Troop commander?" And it's like the sky opened, the sky opened to me, because I thought, oh yeah. And I think I was out of his office, packed up my office, and in Troop G before you could have a blink of an eye. So I was now leading the troop that I kind of grew up in, and it was a huge honor in my life.
Because I started in Troop K as the least of them. You start at the bottom of the pile, and when I left, I was on the top of the pile as the first woman troop commander that Troop K had.
I thought that's really great that they know they can do it. Because it was never about whether they really could, it was about knowing that you can and seeing other people succeed before you.
To be at that table at the end before we retired, where our voice was heard and we were part of decision making, I think it's so important for women to continue to be that. When I started, there was a handful of other women, and they were all either troopers or maybe there was one investigator. When I left, there were women that were in all the ranks and also in all the specialties. We had dog handlers and we had scuba divers and we had investigators and senior investigators. So I was so proud of these women.
I remember when the first female diver, she wasn't just the first female diver, she was the lead in the class. And then when you look at the canine handlers, we didn't think it would ever happen. We didn't think there would be female pilots. And it meant a great deal to me because I felt like it overcame something. And I think it represented a change in the agency where you weren't constantly worried that every person you worked with wondered if you should be there. And I think that was a big deal. I don't think I thought about blazing a trail as much. You don't know you're trailblazing while you're doing it, but you're hoping you're leaving a well-marked trail.
To this day, I just marvel at my good luck that teacher handed me that application for the state police and that I took the test. And I just knew that it was the opportunity of a lifetime for me to go on the state police.
I never looked back. I have no regrets. This was the honor of my life to be a part of this agency, and I was so thrilled to be able to serve as long as I did and do all the things that I got to do.
And I know that I was thinking back 38 years before and how experimental we were, how, you could just tell that they were uncertain exactly what they're going to do. Would they keep us? Were we a flash in the pan? Would we all find husbands and ride off into the sunset and they'd be done with us? I just remember all that chit-chat and turmoil and everything else going on. It was like we were a blip on the screen, and one day blip would no longer be on the screen. We'd be gone. They would have waited us out. Well, I decided I would wait them out instead. And I waited. And I waited till I was the last one in my class. And I realized that out of 4,000 people, from the superintendent on down, I had the most time on the job of anybody in the state. And I felt comfortable going after I achieved that milestone where I had waited them out and I was the last to go.
We went from days when people believed women should be police officers because we always need people to investigate child abuse and sex crimes. And that was sort of the thing, or they were good at that. And seeing the range of opportunities that women have taken and run with and done great things with. But I think that's really the payback, is seeing that we're mainstream.
She needs to get out. Come on, you gotta get out!